In today's video, I thought I would share how I created this stylized croquis for one of the projects in my fashion design portfolio so that you guys can also use it in your portfolio. So let's begin. I'm starting on an A3 size sheet in Adobe Illustrator, and on the left are the color hex codes for today's illustration. Now the easiest total piece of cake way to draw any stylized or fancy artsy croquis completely from scratch is to already have a template like this, whose opacity you reduce and then draw over using it as a guide. In case you don't have something like this, then I'm going to link above one of my videos that can help you create this. Or if you absolutely do not have the time, or you are just lazy, this template itself is up for sale on my website, so I'm going to link it in the description if you want to buy it. Now, once you place your template on the artboard, open up the Layers panel, double-click on the words Layer 1 to rename it to Template. Then reduce the opacity of the template to about 20%. Next, lock the layer, then click on the plus icon to create a new layer. Name it Skin and drag and drop the template layer over the skin layer. Then let's get to drawing. Beginning with the pen tool, select the skin color and draw out the main area of her body using the template as a guide. For her face, I'm sticking exactly to the outlines of the template. But for the rest of her body, since this is a stylized croquis and therefore unrealistic, I'm gonna make her figure much thinner than the rest of the template. Make her feet pointy because we're gonna give her shoes. Now, select a white fill and let's draw in the gap between her arms and her body. Next, highlight both the body and the white gap area that you just drew, come to the Pathfinder tool on the right and click Divide. This will separate out the highlighted shapes along their intersecting lines. Now, delete the white gaps you drew and only the skin shape will be remaining, as you can see here when I move it to the side. Next, I'm going to create a third layer called Outlines. Make sure that it's placed above the other two layers, then close the panel. In this layer, we're going to create a simple black outline for the main parts of her body. For this, first make a copy of the body drawn, then back on the Layers panel, lock the skin layer and select the outline layer. Then paste the skin outline on this layer by pressing Command-Shift-V to place it in the exact same place. Now change the stroke to black and remove the fill. Let's further zoom in and complete all missing black outlines. I'm drawing in the hands here. And up here at the neck, this bit of the line is crossing over to her face. So I'm going to cut it out using the Scissor tool. Highlight both ends of the line you want removed and simply hit Delete. Alright, so we have the foundations of our croquis ready. So I'm actually going to go and delete the template because I don't need it anymore. Then let's zoom in and start drawing in the details of our croquis with the pen tool having a black stroke. The first thing I'm going to do is draw in the details at her neck like so. While drawing, hit Escape to end a line and start a new line. Now select these three lines, come up here to the variable width profile and choose width profile 1, which will edit these lines to become tapered at the ends. And for the remaining lines, select width profile 4, which will edit the lines to become tapered at one end. Next, for her underarms and arms, draw in lines like this. Then once again, change the variable width profiles. Now let's draw in her knees in the same way. When that is done, create a fourth layer called Clothes, placing it below the outlines layer, which has to fall right at the top throughout, like I mentioned. Now with my pen tool having a black fill, I'm going to give her a very basic piece of clothing like this. I'm also giving her shoes. When that is done, let's get back on the skin layer and let's start drawing in her facial features. I'm starting with her eyes, but I'm not drawing them on her face just yet. I'm drawing them on the side. With a white fill and a black stroke, start with a shape like this. I'm then using a grey fill to draw in the iris. Change the transparency mode of the iris to darken so that the black outlines of the eye come through the grey fill. Then with a black fill, draw in the pupils. Next, with your pen tool in a black stroke, draw a long line like this at a thicker width and edit the line to width profile 1. Similarly, draw a thinner line at the bottom. Now group everything together, expand it, and let's place it on her face to see how it looks. Make a copy of the eye by hitting Command C and Command F, then reflect the copy, and placing it here should be okay. Then let's zoom in, and with the ellipse tool, I'm going to draw in 2 white circles like so. Once again, copy paste to the other side. Now let's draw in lines for her eyelids. I'm also drawing the details of her nose in a similar manner and change the width profile to 1. I'm then going to start with her lips, once again drawing it on the side. Start with a shade of pink and draw a shape like so. Then copy, paste, reflect to the other side and unite both halves in the Pathfinder tool. I'm also going to round out this area since it looks too pokey. Then draw the lower lip. Now give the lip a black stroke and also add a black shape like this behind the lip. Place it on the face and make any adjustments necessary. Then let's move to the eyebrows. I'm now moving to create another layer called shading. Place it above the skin layer as the shading has to fall over the skin. Now there are many ways that you can shade, guys. What I am most comfortable with is creating a shape and then blurring it out to look like a shadow or a highlight. For example, for her under eyes, I'm going to draw a shape like so. Then go to Effect, Blur, Gaussian Blur. Select a suitable radius when the shape has blurred enough and hit OK. Then reduce the opacity by about 40%. And this is the same technique that I will use throughout the video to create varying levels of shadows and highlights. I'm going to reflect the under eye shadow onto the other side and also change the transparency mode to darken so that the black outline of the eye below comes through it. Now in the same way, I'm going to move to create additional shadows on her face. So at this point, a few shadows have been added, but let me move to creating highlights. For this, select a white fill, and again in the same way as the shadows, let's create the highlights. Okay, I'm going to stop here for a bit and add some dimension to her lips. For this, start with first drawing white sharp shapes like so. Reduce the opacity to 15%. Then draw a white shape highlighting her Cupid's bow above. Reduce the opacity for that as well to about 50%. Next, pick a dark magenta shade, draw a shape at the center of her lips, blur it out, change the transparency mode to darken so that the black shape underneath comes through this. Then draw a shadow under her lip as well. Finally, with the dark magenta shade, I'm drawing these sharp striped shapes again like so, changing the mode to darken and reducing the opacity to 50%. Repeat the same for the lower lip. So the lips and the face look okay so far. So I'm going to continue with adding more dimension and detail to her face. Alright guys, her face is now complete. I'm gonna go ahead and add shadows to the rest of her body using the exact same techniques. So in my case, I'm individually changing the blur and the opacity for each shape simply because I like the variation that it brings with each shape looking different. But you can easily select multiple shapes and change their blur and opacity at once to save a lot of time. You can also keep your opacity panel open at the side. I'm keeping it closed so that you guys have a better view of the screen. Yeah, this is me creating a separate layer for her nails. Let's make them pink. Now another important step of my shading process is adding a black shadow color. Simply choose a black fill and repeat the same steps as before, filling the tiny nooks and crannies of your figure. By the way, when the transparency mode of these shapes is set to darken, the black shadows blend in well with the skin below. I am individually doing them one by one so that you can see the immediate effect on the screen. But in your case, you can easily draw all the black shapes first, highlight them all, and change the transparency at one shot to save time. The final stage of my skin shading is to add white shapes like so, either without any blur or with a very slight blur. These are almost at full opacity as well. Now the body is done, but there is one small thing I need to draw before we get to the hair. Her ears. Alright, for the hair, I'm creating a layer called hair and placing it right on top, then selecting the hair color. I'm starting like this. Draw in the inner layers of the hair with a dark grey shade. Now with the white fill, which is the hair highlight shade, I'm drawing strands of highlighted hair. In a similar manner, with the hair shadow shade, which is a dark grey, I'm drawing in the darker strands. And for the finishing touch, I'm going to create a brush for me to draw in the final details. For this, take the ellipse tool in a black fill and draw a shape like this. While the shape is highlighted, come to the brush definition panel and click the plus icon to create a new brush. Now choose Art Brush, hit OK, and hit OK again. Then with my paint brush tool, I can draw in these nice lines like this that have tapered edges at both ends. So let's give this brush tool a shot with the hair detailing. And that's it, guys. This is the final croquis look. So as always, guys, I hope this was a useful tutorial for you. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next week.